Hey everybody, Dave here again. In today's video I want to show you a unique approach or a different angle to discussing this new feature called View Code Preview. This is the YAML behind certain objects and screens in Power Apps. So you see that I'm pulling up the code view preview to lots of this. As you may or may not be aware, this markup is literally called YAML, which is an acronym for yet another markup language. And as a result of this, if you're familiar with JSON, it's pretty much the same thing. However, it has much less formatting of brackets and curly braces and things of that nature. So it's definitely more user-friendly and definitely more plain English. So if you're familiar with JSON, the transition to YAML is going to be absolutely seamless. There's plenty of 101 YAML courses out there. It will take you about 15 minutes to a half hour to come up to speed, even if you're not familiar with YAML or even JSON. But you should be familiar with concepts like key value pairs, data types, lists, arrays, things like that. So if you're pretty comfortable with that kind of stuff, learning YAML or JSON is going to be pretty easy for you. Okay, that being said, a lot of you out there are pro developers, as well as most of you watching at least my channel and video are not that, and you're simply maybe somewhere in the middle or just beginning. So I want this video to be a little bit for everybody. So for those of you, the pro dev, hang on, there's some really cool stuff. If you don't already know, this will definitely help you out. And if you're somewhere in the middle, this video is absolutely for you. If you are starting out and you're just beginning, you might want to skip this video, although there's great information in here that I think will benefit you so that you're in the know, and so you can keep an eye out for things in the future, especially if you really have gotten into Power Apps, you find yourself loving it. I think this is a really good path forward to kind of grow your skills in the platform long term. All right, so that being said, there are some limitations. I pulled up my ProcessSentinel app, which is available for free. Go to ProcessSentinel.com. I'll put a link in the description below, but in any event, you can download this. I have an installation video, and I did make some changes to the app, but I wanted to notate them. Make sure you read this text in yellow if you're going to take this down and install it for whatever reason. The point for showing you this is that the screen, so here I am at the screen, we got a loading screen, we've got anyway, this is a very complicated app. We got lots of screens, and so if we right click on a screen, we can come to view code. Now I can't edit any of this. This is completely locked down. And so if you're just beginning or somewhere in an intermediate, you know that you can copy a button and let's just say a new screen blank, right? And so if I scroll to the bottom, I have the screen 1. And now I can just, Control V. I can paste that button. However, there's a different way of doing this now. And the reason that you want to consider this is if I come over here to View Code Preview, this is the view code on the button, and then I come and copy the code. What I can do now is come over here to say Notepad or Notepad++, and let's just blow this out. And now I have this code that's sitting on my text file. Now I can save the text file in SharePoint. I can start building a library. So as you can see, there's a lot of information on this button. So unfortunately, or fortunately, the majority of this garbly code is the onSelect statement, PowerFX statement that I've written for the button. Otherwise, if we look at just the properties past this, we only really have this amount of text. So it's not a tremendous amount of information there. Just to kind of put this into more perspective, if I were to come down here and remove all of my onSelect stuff, the actual code for that button is really just this. It's not that much. It's all because when the user clicks, I'm doing something really crazy. Now, the reason I wanted to show you this is because if you can appreciate this and really like it and are like, oh, I want to be able to edit it. I want to be able to edit it. Why can't I edit it? Then this video is definitely for you, because I'm going to show you how you could edit it and edit it in bulk. So here's the thing. Let's come over here and let's download the app. Let's just download a copy. And so this will download it to my local directory. I'm going to get rid of this. I don't need to be in here anymore. I don't want to save either. Now, I need to set up the rest of this for you. And so a couple things. There is an item called the Power Platform command line interface. And so if I click here to install, by the way, I'll have these links also into the description of the video. But if we come down here to install, we have a Visual Studio Code extension, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. I also, in addition to this, have the command line interface, just the flat out installation local to Windows. So now the other thing to show you here is there is this Power Apps tooling. This is very important. And the reason for that is, and the whole reason for showing you this is for this prerequisite piece right here. I'll put this description in the link. You don't really need it. I'll put also the code here so that you'll have it. But you might want to refer to this if you need to have the visual. There is this item that you'll need to install, this YAML extension that you're going to want to install. You're also going to want to, let me open this up in a open this up in a new window or a new tab. And so if we look at this Visual Studio Power Platform tools from the marketplace, you'll need to install this. So let's put these two together. So you're going to need to install this tool, you're going to need to install this tool, and so I'm going to bring up Visual Studio, and I'm also going to bring up my downloads directory. So let me pop that over here. I have it off screen. Let me push it over, whoop, wrong screen. Push it over here. All right, so never mind this. This is my recording thing, but this is the app. It's got this funny little thing here. I'm just going to abbreviate it to just be PSMS app. So this is the app that I just downloaded, okay? Now, essentially, behind the scenes, if you just want to know what's going on here, this is a compressed zip file. But don't use zip or don't rename it to zip because, well, I've done it in the past and I've had a 50-50 chance of success with it. I don't know specifically what is going on, but there must be something in this process that I'm about to show you that maintains integrity of the compressed file. I don't know if there's something very special that happens. I suspect that there is, but anyway, don't just rename it to zip, even though it is a compressed file. There's a specific way that you should handle this. I'm going to also create a new folder here to set this whole up. I'm just going to call it app, all caps, okay? So I have my PS app, which PS is all cap, and I've got this. I'm going to come back to Visual Studio. I'm going to open that folder. So let's go to my downloads. I'll open up this app. And let's get rid of this. Okay, as a sidebar, let's quickly discuss that I've already installed this tool. This is the Power Platform tool, so I've installed it. Again, I'll put the links to all of this in the description. And I've also installed this YAML piece down here. Now, the key here is, now this was explained in the video, but I'm going to click on this cog and I'm going to go over to extension settings. What you need to do is I need to change this YAML schemas, and I'm going to edit the settings in JSON. What you need to do is you need to add this piece right here, this YAML schemas. And so what's going to happen is this is going to let your Intellisense help you with anything that you might be creating in YAML, specifically as it relates to the Power Platform and its tooling. So this is very important because as you're rewriting text, Intellisense will help you with the properties, help you get the proper syntax. So definitely want to install this if you can do it. Okay, so we'll sidebar out of this and go back into the main settings and into the main show. So we've got an empty directory. I am now going to pull this up. So remember the Power Platform tooling. So just showing you once again, this guy right here is what's enabling this functionality in this command line app. Okay, so I'm in the apps directory, but I have this PS apps or ps.ms apps that I need to unpack. So the command line interface, everything starts with pack, P-A-C. So if I just type in pack and we'll see what we get. These are all of the commands that we can do with the command line interface. Now, I'm not going to go through all this. I have other videos that talk about the command line interface. You can search those on my channel. But I want to just drill into this one function for Canvas, specifically the pack and unpack video, or functions rather, in this video. And so if I type in Canvas, you can now see all of the different items that we can do. So we see a pack and an unpack item. So the first thing I want to do is actually unpack. Now if I just, again, and the reason I'm hitting enter every time is because I want to show you the breadcrumb trail, that if you're not absolutely 100% sure what to use next, you can do as you see that I'm doing here and just hit enter, and it'll help walk you through. So in addition to what I have, I need to put in some switches, so -- sources. So this is going to be the directory. I'm just going to put the / to indicate this directory. So this is where I'm going to unpack it to. And now I need to specify the MS app. So that's the switch, and I'm going to need to do one directory back. So .. which tells me one directory up, and then /, and I'm going to do ps.msapp. So when I do that, as soon as I hit enter, keep your eye up over here. You should see a bunch of stuff being unpacked into this directory, and there we go. We've got all of that information. So at this point, I'm going to come up here to toggle the panel or hit Control-J on the keyboard to get out of there. I don't want to spend a tremendous amount of time on this, but nonetheless, I'm familiar with all of them. I'm still myself trying to figure out what the use case for entropy is. I'm sure it has to do with some very geeky programmatic stuff, and I myself am not a pro-code developer either. I am a low-code developer, probably towards the higher end, almost pro-dev, but not quite. And so there is a specific reason for this. I'm not too comfortable with that. But as you grow your applications, you can see in the assets, you have images that are specifically in there, the logo for the images, any type of sample images or JSON as it relates, SVG stuff is all going to be in here. So I'm going to close up the connections, and that's the reason why I use my ProcessSentinel app, because this is a pretty complicated app and it has a lot of elements, and it helps me to illustrate this. So this shows me all of the different connections that I have going on here. You can see I've got Azure OpenAI, up here I have OpenAI, I'm using other chat type stuff, and specific things for Office 365. These are really, again, the connections that I've got going on inside of the application. So all of this is in JSON. That's why I made the call out earlier that you should become familiar with JSON. Under data sources, I have a whole slew of stuff. Again, all of this is in JSON. But let's circle back and let's go right to what I wanted to show you here. Under the source folder, which is what I call it. I don't know if that's the intentional. This is the SRC folder technically, but I remember it as like, where's the source of my code for the screens and for the assets on the screen? And it's all in these YAML files. And so if we switch back to Power Platform in my app, and well, I guess I have to load it up and edit it. But anyway, there was a screen in my app that I had that was called Azure OpenAI as well as just OpenAI. So here is Home OpenAI FX, and I had a button that had the label of, I believe it was just Ask. So somewhere in this huge pile of information, I have a button called Ask. So I'm simply just going to type in Ask, and I can see TXT as text, and so that's not quite what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the control of button. So let me keep going, and I've got 7 items in here that it could be. So that's a collection. No. Let's see here. That's no. There's the text ask. So I think this is it. I got to scroll up because this is my on select. Okay, send as button. Okay, so this is the name of my button. It's called send as. And so here's the select code. So now if I want to change the button's property, the text, I'm in the pro code thing, so I can just do ask for, I don't know, let's just change this out here. Let's do, and for some reason, okay, let me get out of here. Ask, let's say, we'll just change it to send uppercase, -- in front. We'll do -- here. Now, because I'm doing that, I probably should make it wider, and I don't have a width setting in here. So I could add a width setting. So I'm going to do end. See, this is the reason for the YAML, and for that, do you see what it's doing? It's helping me with Intellisense understand in the context of a button, there's a property for width, and it is helping me with this. So I'm going to choose the first option. and now it shows me equals 148. If I hit tab, it'll be out there like that. So I want to set the setting as 150. So you see how this Intellisense is helpful and happening for me. I'm going to do a Control S on this, and again, all of this magic is happening because of this YAML extension, and specifically because of the configuration of the extension for the schema. It's pointing to this location out here on Microsoft Power App Tooling. And so I'm able to get this directly from GitHub and pull all of this information out there. And because it's managed by Microsoft, essentially every time I use the extension, it's pulling it in dynamically. So it's able to help me out considerably in writing the code. So anyway, I've done these settings. You now see the benefit. And again, I can edit the entirety of all of the screens as well as the objects on the screens. It's all in YAML. It's all very straightforward and fairly simple to understand. To become acclimated to it, though, one of the things that you should do is right-click on the screen and choose View Code. So when you open a file in Visual Studio, this is what you're seeing in Visual Studio for that screen, right? And so you can also, on a particular screen, pick an element and choose View Code, and now I can see all of the view code. So if you're not familiar with what it is, you can copy this information out, and so this should be down in the system for you. But in any event, I am going to choose this ellipsis, and I'm going to choose Open, and I'm going to browse my local computer, and I'm going to get the new packed version of my app, but I haven't done that yet. So let's go do that now, and let's switch back, and then we can upload it. So let me go ahead and close this. Let me pull open the toggle my panel here. I'm going to do a CLS to clear the screen. I'm going to arrow up, use the up arrow on my keyboard twice to get to the previous unpack statement, because at this time I simply just want to do the pack variation. Now everything is going to be identical except the source is going to remain the same, except the naming of the file. I'll just call this test.msapp. I'm going to hit enter, and so this should now pack up my file called test.msapp. Let me come back over here to my Power App where I'm loading up the screen, and now I have my test.msapp. And so now this is going to load up the application in its packed up format, and it has a different name in its entirety. All of the code is the same for the app, but I've made my changes. Now if I hit save, it'll save the app as this test app. But I want to show you the changes that I made. Now here's my button. It says send. And if I look at my other button on my other screen, it's the original ask. But the point is that you can get into your screens and edit them in a pro code, pro dev type environment with a little bit of setup and a little bit of configuration. So as Microsoft is developing all of this, you can still get into this onion a little bit deeper and go into the next layers and really be able to do something super powerful for you. If you can wrap your head around this, if you can perfect this, if you can understand this, you are now on your way to being a pro dev, right? You may not be a full pro dev, but I figure, for me personally, I'm almost a pro dev because I can do this kind of really low level in the trench type of stuff. But I'm still learning, and I don't understand 100% of it at that level just yet. But, every day is a new learning experience. So I wish you guys all the best. That's it for this video. We'll see you in the next. Bye-bye.